As you know, Claude Code is one of the most powerful vibe coding tools out there, and Mark and I have been getting our hands dirty building stuff for both our family and home lives and for work. So we're going to get into showing you some of the stuff we've built and how to do it. Let's go. So man, what have you been up to?
Mate, it's you and I have been at a few of these things, a couple of talks, Claude Code Sydney, Tech House. I was at a Founders Edge event last night, but less talking, more moderating, getting into the crowd and asking people a heap of questions. Really interesting stuff. Some people are just getting into NotebookLM and being wowed by it. Many are doing Claude Code, and just really interesting sorts of conversations. We had a founder, we had an incumbent from Atlassian, and we had a VC that invested in the founder. So no bias there.
So what you say, NotebookLM, tell me about what have you doing? What was the discussion around that before? Because I know that a lot of today's conversation is going to be diving into Claude. So I thought let's start with something a bit different.
let's do something different. People just talking about, and it was a good question, like asking people like what it is that they've been using in the crowd, like what, and we should do this at the Oz Blockchain and AI Network. Ask the crowd what are the AI tools that they've been using, or what are the blockchain tools they've been using and stuff, because that led to some really interesting interactions and discussion, and even had a break in the middle where you got people to turn to each other and say what they're doing or interested in the space. And the NotebookLM stuff was just the basic stuff for podcasts. Some of the crew had just started for that. I don't know, but I don't know if they've done it, but I did say that, you know, you can insert yourself into the podcast. It's just a shame that you can't choose the voice, because imagine you could be talking to like a Joe Rogan type thing and go, no, pull that up, Chris, on screen. So it was that sort of thing.
That podcasting feature is literally one of my favorite functionalities to utilize. Like I'm really bad at, you and I talked about this a lot with ADHD and what God knows what other issues that I have from a neurological standpoint, but being able to read and take in information is a struggle. And I've been doing a lot of interviews lately for opportunities and other work, and catching up with businesses, and some of the thing you want to make sure you do is have a good understanding of what these businesses are about. So I will do a lot of deep research across Perplexity, ChatGPT. I pull those outputs and I place them into NotebookLM, and I tell it to create a podcast about the whole company. And I just sit there and I will listen to it while I'm cooking dinner or making my lunch or breakfast or whatever.
And the podcast summaries, you could get a podcast of the whole like you could take a whole podcast and throw it into NotebookLM and go, I want a podcast of the podcast.
You could do that. Yeah, so give me a summary of that. Exactly right. And it's just like it makes a world of difference. So I went and had this chat with someone just the other day, and they were like, oh, that's really cool, like you must have done a lot of research. I'm like, I did a lot of listening.
Well, yes, technically I did. I used tools. It's like people doing really advanced math will use calculators, and they'll have the formulas written up and they understand all of that kind of stuff. But calculators and tools like Python and R, for coding is still used, like for pirates, software pirates. Software pirates use R. I don't know why that's never. Well, I don't know why that's never, I've never heard that. Maybe it's a thing and I've just been under a rock. But anyway, Chris, what have you been up to apart from, NotebookLMing?
I have been staying up to ridiculous hours over the last couple of weeks.
Good.
Just playing with Claude and building stuff outside of all the general work that I'm doing. And it has been stupid amounts of fun.
I bet Gabby appreciates it.
No, really not. She's been going to bed, and I'll end up getting she'll be asleep before I even hop into bed. It's become a bit of an addiction, which is worrying. It's a word I hear.
It's a knowledge addiction, though. It's fine. That's good.
For me, it's learning. It's a learning thing. But it has been so much fun just building stuff. And I know we had this discussion. This would have been 2 episodes ago. Prior to having our chat, I think with Jason, that was our last episode. But we spoke about how I was moving off of ChatGPT onto Claude, and I will talk about my learnings and what I'm experiencing, and just like mind blowing the stuff that I'm able to do now that I don't think was which you can do in ChatGPT, but it just wasn't. I don't know. There was just this fun thing about Claude Code that just makes things enjoyable. But also limitations that I've learnt around Claude Code, or just Claude in general. And I'm sure we can get into those in a moment. But that's been me. I've been building stuff. I built like 3 apps over the last couple of weeks. I've been building out my own custom server integrations with N8N via Docker, playing with my own local AI uh, solutions onto that, and then discovering, what, I don't need
Yeah.
local AI things. Apparently, you can do headless for all these accounts. I don't need to use
Yeah.
APIs. And it's just been it's been so much fun. It's been so much fun.
That's good. No, yeah, I was gonna stop you because I said only three. I thought you heard that.
Only
Like,
3. Yeah, that's it. It's
yeah,
only 3. Surprising enough. Well, I think in between the
yeah,
3 has been many, like the setting up of the server and playing with it and
yeah.
toying with it. So yeah, maybe 3 apps of like 3 big apps I've built, and then
That's good.
together like putting up my own host and
Oh
solution
yeah,
and
there's
so on.
all the little work in between and stuff. No, I'm
Exactly.
sorry, no, I don't mean little work as in it's little compared to the big monolithic kind of tools that you and I get to build that we would never. And I meant only three, not as in it's a bad thing, but like, you get to a stage and like I'm only a bit ahead in the curve to you from the Claude Code perspective, but when you look back at the week or the 2 weeks or whatever it is, you look at all the things you prototyped, things that you took further than prototypes, things that you're, oh wow, it's a fantastic aha moment that I never knew I could do
Mm,
that. Like you're having with the headless kind of stuff. I think it's fantastic, and I can't wait to see what you got to show. I'm going to show something that I've been building, law firm focused, because I'm driving some efficiencies here. I'm sitting at the law firm in
so
one of
good.
the meeting rooms right now, but it's
And you're
amazing the type
building
of
stuff with
stuff.
Claude Code as well?
Oh, it's all Claude Code. It's all Claude
Fuck yeah.
Code. I pay homage to that. I pay, a lot of money for that. I'm on the max plan like
Yes, I
you
think we
are.
both do.
Our friend Arturo, I know he's on a couple of max plans. So
A
there's a whole,
couple. Wow.
yeah,
Not
yeah.
surprising there.
When you're developing at the scale, like here's the thing, like so when you're quasi developer like me, when you're new to development like yourself, and you're more from the design space, and when you're a developer like him, so you and I are at the max plan. He needs a couple. What more will all these other people when they have
It's
harnesses and swarms of these agents? But I go back to just a theme to think about, that's been bobbing up a lot over the past couple of weeks. The three things I'm trying to solve for at the moment are, and are
R.
ARE, because we're Aussie, so we've got to explain this. Americans are like R, but it's for agents, so not just
Mm.
humans driving the AI tools. That's very basic. Like we've got AI tools, but humans driving the AI tools, basic. It's agents, but not just agents on their own. Agents need tools, because agents can be just there, but without tools, what are they doing? So agents plus tools, and then the third thing being data. Because if you don't have access to the data, you can have all these great funky agents, great funky tools, but if you can't do anything because your industry limits the access to the data, I think that's going to be really hard. I'm going to show some cool stuff that I've been building that would not be possible without all three. But I'd love to see what you're doing first, so we'll come back to my stuff later in the show.
Yeah. All right. Let's get into it.
Show me,
So
show me, show
I
me.
want to start. I want to start with the Claude discussion, or as I get into this experience that I've had and building stuff, and it gives me a
Hmm.
bit of a context of what and how I've been doing things. Um, so switching over to Claude using Claude Code has been awesome, and using Claude, I've been primarily using Claude Desktop, not
Ah,
Terminal. I find, as much as I've wanted to use Terminal, and I know all like the hardcore techies out there are just going to be like, ugh, you're not using Terminal. How could you?
yep.
I just find it's so limiting from a quick access to things, switching across things, and also the fact that you got to constantly remember all the, how to change folders and
Yeah,
shortcuts and interruptions, and even just from a planning point of view, like it's all in the one stream. Whereas with desktop, you can have this sort of split view. When it does the plan, it pops out in a different
yeah.
window. I can control that and still engage and tweak it at the same time. Those little nuances, as a product person, I just find so much more beneficial than switching into terminal.
I like
I
it.
said the biggest frustration I've had with Claude is mainly to do with its like up to date information around what's going on. And
Mm,
that has meant that while I'm doing things, I'm actually constantly also switching to Gemini or ChatGPT or
mm, mm.
Perplexity to get the latest information on how to do things, and then plug that back into Claude to go, no, this is it.
This is the way.
To the point, to the point of Claude didn't even know certain features about itself that it had, whether it was the headless discussion that we'll get into in a moment, or one of the latest updates that had come out around how to use co-work and dispatch. Like, it didn't even know what dispatch was.
Can I just say on that, the interesting thing is that other tools where you do ask that and they answer the question. So when you're asking it, they should have something by default in there, because unless you're doing some sort of web search, I guess they just haven't put this in the instructions that if asked about yourself, do web search, because what it seems to be doing is just waiting for the user to ask something that is on the web, and then it'll auto do web search. But if you just ask about a feature, it'll go, oh, I don't know, because it's looking into its own model, just the LLM on its own, cut off to September, December, whatever, 25, 24, whatever year it was. But if it was, I bet if you asked it, look online and tell me about the new feature that you just released called Dispatch. And because, oh, look online, be explicit. But other tools, when you ask that, it just automatically does that first. So it is interesting. I think it's just a prompting thing. I am guessing. However, just from knowing that Claude will web search if you ask it to, because if I tell Claude Code, look at this feature here and tell me about it, it goes and web searches. So it would be able to do it itself. It's weird that it just doesn't do it by default.
It's a yes and no. So yes, it does do that, but then the extra thing it misses when it does that is still the context around it. And so Gemini, for example, if I were to say, hey, tell me about this feature, it fully understands the context around that feature. Whereas if for Claude Code, you would have to continually prompt it to understand.
But do you mean the context as in it doesn't know about its internal workings, whereas Gemini just knows it's
internal workings, how to integrate it. Like, here's the code base you want to put in to activate it. Or what's the platform using? I'm using Claude Code to integrate this. Oh, this is how you tell Claude Code to do this. Like, it actually had that whole context in Gemini. And I had to take that context and then go, all right, Claude, I'm asking you too much shit about how to work this out. Here's the thing. And then it just goes, okay, cool. Then now let's integrate it.
Because I've worked with it before, like maybe I'm getting a different experience, and I'm not doubting that you've got that. I'm sure it is, but when I've asked it about things like skills and like I want to do skills within, and I want to build my own MCP servers and stuff, and I want to do all these things, it knows about all of that, and that's not a new model. I don't know, like
so that stuff's been out for a while, which is why it's got full context around that. Like, and obviously they Anthropic invented
the newer stuff.
It's the things that came out just like, so for example, this headless stuff, this has literally come out in the last couple of months. This isn't new. So, and it just didn't have the context around integrating that correctly until I gave it to it. What was the other one? I remember I pinged you the other day, and it was challenging me on the existence of Gemini. So as I was testing out some local models, I was integrating with Ollama. Just that's what I'm using as the plugin for. And I'm using Quen 3.5 and a mixture between 4B and 9B.
I know you're going, like, it doesn't know that the model exists. You have to be explicit with it. Like, that this model does exist. Look it up online is what I find, and then it'll go, oh, I found it.
And even then, it wasn't getting it right.
It's worked for me. So,
albeit I was doing it in Claude Code. Maybe I should have switched into chat to do it. But it was coming back to me going, oh, 9B model was made by the community. It's not a real model. The 9B is just a context for the changes that they made. I'm like, no, 9B is a model. Like, look it up. And it's like, no, it doesn't exist. Did the same thing around with with Gemini's local free model as well. It was saying Gemma 4 doesn't exist. So it kept pushing back on me. And I'm like, no, it exists. Here's a link. Here's like, check this out. And it'd be like, oh yeah, no, it still doesn't exist. I can't. It's just like, what are you doing? Maybe it's because I'm already so deep into building something. It's like, maybe its context window is getting too cluttered with everything else that's going on. I don't know.
You can there's plenty of reasons why, but you know how to get it in if it really needs to be jammed in. Just find 100%. The source pages, throw it in.
That's exactly what I was
just in the interest of time, Chris, because like we both want to present something.
Let's do it.
Should we get into it?
I'll pull it up. So I'll show what I've done. A couple of things I've done. There's one I'm not going to show. It was a budget app that I built, and that's purely because it's a budget app. I'm not going to show you my costs and budgets.
Yep.
Let me do a screen share for you.
While
So
you're
you have
doing
that
that,
visual.
I don't know if you've seen World Monitor, Chris, and some of those awesome tools that people are building where they've got like different news feeds and stuff. Someone did a World Monitor type thing, a Palantir type thing for just their family trip, and I'm doing something for my family trip next week. So, just
Hey.
weather and news, and here's things going on in Singapore right now, and routes. Like, here's the best way to get to ridiculous. What have we got here?
So actually, I'll start with my family home base tool that I built here. So
Love it.
this is the sort of the easiest one that got me into a bit of a journey of setting things up. So this particular application I built for my wife and I, so we can track all our lives together, build out meal plans, and then also a little bit of a fun experience for my daughter.
Love
Um,
it.
so you can see here, this is the dashboard. It's got all the today's stuff that needs to be fed through, any meal plans that we have, upcoming events,
Hmm.
my daughter's little tasks and our to-dos, and then pinned notes.
Fantastic.
So I'll start with tasks. So this task page, what we do is we can create things for her to do in the day. And whether it is, let me make sure it's password protected so she can't go ahead and create her own. And you can create like do the dishes or feed the fish or, go to a certain thing and do this. And so create these activities or tasks or chores for her to do. And then as soon as she's done it, she can come here, she can click off the thing and go, yep, cool, I did that thing today. There's a little bit of a little confetti explosion. And on the top, she gets
Nice.
a point for achieving that activity. And we can set how many points we want to give her or what those points are then essentially can be valued at, which brings me to her ability to be able to purchase things. So she can go to these points, she can then see how, I can
Wow.
purchase, I want to buy some chocolate. She redeems the
Teaching
chocolate,
a
boom, and
capitalism
it
from
goes on to the
age.
bottom saying that today she purchased that chocolate thing, and so we
You're
know
teaching.
now we'll give her a chocolate.
I, you're
Go on.
teaching a cap. You're teaching a capitalism from day
Yes.
age 3.
Yeah, exactly right. It's like saving, right? And we'll give her some
Yeah.
things that are really cheap or some things that are
Yeah.
really cool and expensive, like a new book or a new toy or something like that. It allows her to have a play around and
I love it.
learn how to save and then spend appropriately. Yeah. So then Lana can pick and choose those things. So then what we've also got is this meal planner functionality where we
Show
can
me.
create meals for the week. You can like add particular meals, add instructions. We've got
Wow.
either you can put in your own recipes, put in your own meal sets, create your own, and then move them around for whatever day you want.
Wow.
And the beautiful thing is when you open this, if there's particular ingredients that you need or want for the order, you can select them and it automatically adds it to the shopping list for when you need to go shopping. And so this is and then pantry is the sort of fun part for Gabby because she loves building out her own recipes. So right now
Oh,
you
amazing.
can essentially add a recipe and you can do it manually.
Yep.
You can do it with AI generated. So you
Ooh.
could tell it what ingredients that you have, and
Wow.
then it will actually build out a recipe based on a knowledge
This
base.
is so freaking cool.
Or
My
yeah, exactly.
Alana needs this as well. Like, I
I'll
need to
share a
build
version with
this.
you.
Yeah,
If
please.
you
This
say,
is so
I'll share
cool.
a
I'll
version.
do the family trip one for the family trip, thing that we're building.
Yes.
I'm going to share that with you. This is
Awesome.
ridiculous.
This is it. This build apps. Let's share it with
Yeah.
each other. It's awesome.
Yeah. You
So you
should
can
have
grab
like
a link.
friend things, sorry, friend things where like people are doing like these parties where they do their bills together. We should have parties where we vibe code together.
Yes. Yeah, man. That's a great idea. Let's note that
Yeah.
down. All right, we're building. This is going to be the expert in the loop
Yeah.
hackathon, family hackathon thing.
Yeah, that's it.
Awesome.
What
You
do you
can
got
drop
here?
links in for websites, and it does a scrape for it and uses OpenAI Mini 4 to
Yeah.
map this out. But I've now got a different plan, so I don't have to use tokens now that I can do the other thing that we'll talk about shortly.
Yeah.
And what I'll be doing soon is adding an image capture feature, so she could take a picture from a
Yeah.
book, and it'll do the same thing.
Yep.
The beauty is that once you add the items in, you come down here. Again, it's got all the ingredients and recipes. If you add it to, if you then add it to the meal planner, let's go from recipe. I select the item, and again, we might be able to go,
Wow.
okay, I need to buy this, I need to buy that, and that instantly again adds it into the shopping list.
Ridiculous. That is ridiculous.
You can add notes, so you can drop in files and folder, family information or stuff.
Yep.
You just like, hey, check this out, or reminders for things. We've got our own little to-do list planner just for us. This is separate from the task list. And again, that updates on the dashboard. And then this is where we can set up the awards for the kids and stuff like that. So
I
that's app
love it.
one. I had so much fun doing that. It's using zero auth with Google as its authenticator. There's a whole bunch of, it's all managed through Supabase for the database management, and everything gets deployed automatically via GitHub into Vercel to
Wow.
the production environment. So it's all like reasonably secure. Like I wouldn't put it out as a commercially viable tool, but it's great, perfect for like our family needs.
That's it. This is the way.
This is the one I've been most excited about talking about, because this is when I started to get more technical with sort of local setups. So I really wanted a tool that could, one, scrape my emails, give me the things I need to address urgently, but also give me kind of like, what are the key things that are sort of trending in the market right now, across, AI, and for these discussions that you and I have, to give me the latest and greatest stuff that I can then even share onto social media. So utilizing, so because it's a business, I couldn't access zero auth authentication to set a lot of this stuff up. So I ended up doing a lot of password linking, and also secret links with my calendars. But essentially, I've got all of that set up in N8N that then connects to an AI scraper that then reads all that information, triages my emails automatically in my inbox, but then also shoots that information into this dashboard to show me the things I need to look at straight away.
Wow.
And so you can see here, I've got my calendar. It shows me the emails. And now this is the fun part. If I don't think that this email was important, I can actually say no, and it'll come up with a pop-up going, tell me why it's not. And I can say, this email is this. And it then feeds that back into the model to better understand what emails to ignore and what to pass through.
I like
And
it.
that all feeds back into another triage piece.
So this is when you say, this is Outlook. So you're connecting to Outlook, OAuth stuff.
No, this is all Google's Google.
Oh, it's Gmail. Okay.
Software. Yeah. You can do it through Outlook as well. The functionality exists.
I think it's harder.
The Outlook's, it's a little bit harder with particularly with business accounts.
Exactly. Yeah. I thought you meant that, because when you said hard, it's harder for business accounts. I'm like, oh, he's doing it's Outlook. But like Gmail even as well for business accounts. If it was just around personal, like so much more straightforward.
So I've got Digital Village emails coming through, and I had a chat with the team, talked them through all the setup to make sure that they knew that things were secure. Obviously, this is a thing that's only accessible to me, so it's not like it's out there on the big wide web for people to access. Although I'm sure a good hacker might be able to get in somehow. But it's all managed privately, secret keys across Vercel, and N8N, and Supabase. So nothing is hard embedded that people can access. So
I like it.
They were all happy with it.
Yep.
Then what we've got is essentially a dashboard here that allows me to see all the latest news and articles that are pulling through. And this is where things get a little bit fun. So originally what I was doing, I was pulling these articles through via N8N. So Perplexity has been set up. I'm using Perplexity AI, which is one of the best AI sort of aggregators for finding links and news. It's using the Pro API for that, because you can set a lot of context, give it date specifications, and it provides really accurately the trends that are around that. Using Gemini and other tools, sometimes it gives you back landing pages and things that aren't very good. I'm also using Tavily, which is another really good web scraper. And that's sharing links into the platform. And then I was using a local model for Olama Quen that was summarizing and feeding it back. And this laptop, it's okay, but it's only got 6 gigabytes of VRAM, and putting any local models on there is a killer. So it was taking sometimes 20 minutes to summarize like 10 web pages. And then I first discovered this thing that I didn't know existed around with Claude at first, which is a headless Claude. So essentially what you can do is you can install via your terminal, via your PowerShell, a headless version of your Claude desktop, which is kind of similar to terminal, right?
Yeah.
And you can then use N8N with a webhook or an HTML injection to have discussions with actual Claude code on the desktop, your max plan. So you're not using APIs. It's injecting information from N8N straight into your Claude code, doing the churning of information, and then punching that information back into N8N to then distribute into any of your platforms. And I was just like, so I don't have to use these local models. I can literally, using my Max plan, which I thought was only dedicated to desktop and browser stuff, now I can utilize it like it is a model sitting on my computer. And I was just like, that's incredible. So now I've changed everything. I'm not using any Ollama injections now. Everything is using Claude Max to do the reading, summarization, LinkedIn summary posts, and I now have an app that can load all this information within now seconds rather than taking 20 minutes of N8N workflows running in the background.
That is pretty damn cool.
It's amazing. It's so good. So I've got these watch summaries. I can feed it through. So this is actually just targeting key businesses around Anthropic, all the big players of people that I am tracking and following, being a bit more targeted. I can do a deeper analysis, which again that does a Tavily scrape of the page, puts that content into Claude Code, and then Claude just does a much more richer summary for me.
Yeah.
Or I can create a social post, which then punches out a LinkedIn summary. And then lastly, I've got my LinkedIn page, which is essentially just giving me the latest. It takes what it has thinking is the best and most trending articles out there. Again, all using Claude Code. I have a bunch of MD files that are on the computer around my branding, words to use, words not to use, how to structure things. And I can just copy this and plug it straight into a LinkedIn or X post that I want to be creating. And similarly, I can also rate it. So if I really like the post, I can say, yep, I use this. If I want to change, I changed a few things on LinkedIn, it'll feed that back into the model and tweak that output as much as possible.
Fantastic.
And what I'll do in a separate video is I'll walk through this in detail, and we'll post that next week as a separate thing around how this was all set up in more detail. But yeah, so I've got detailed N8N workflow, injecting with Claude Code, and using Docker as the sort of the wrapper around N8N to run that locally, and also Tavily as one of the scrapers as well.
Fantastic, mate. That's really cool. What a advancement that you've got there. I'm sure that it'll be interesting to get into the detail of that.
Some really important things to note around the use of headless. This is only for your personal use. Headless is not a commercial thing. It's like you're using a Max plan. It's your thing. This platform, no one else can access it, and I wouldn't be able to set it up to access it because that would, one, breach the terms of what headless is all about. It's not like you can give your Max plan to every single person, have 5 people using it all at once. That's not what it's about. And this is very much the same thing as this. And even to do this, I'm going to be using probably several models. I'm going to be using Gemini headless very soon. That's also been released. And so has ChatGPT, OpenAI. They've also got a headless version that you can install via terminal. All headless is like, it's just you're embedding the platform into the core of your operating system and allowing, other platforms to utilize it outside of the desktop version of your system. It's just a really nice, easy way for you to engage with this tool, especially when you're paying a lot of money for it. So this was a much appreciated extra feature for me to be able to use.
Fantastic.
So that's it for my showcasing. I will do some separate videos around how I set this up. But Mark.
Yep. Can you see?
Legal Claw.
All right, really quickly, and I'll probably talk about this a lot more when I do the Claude Code online event, which will probably be out already by the time this video comes out. But the inspiration from this is seeing what the cool folks at Legal Quants are doing online. That is the space where lawyers are doing some cool stuff with vibe coding and building their own solutions. And then on the other side is just seeing all this stuff going on in the agentic space, and just seeing, like, whether it's Andre Karpathy, it's like a whole heap of others that are doing these things. It just makes sense, especially when you take what it is that OpenClaw has as like the code that they release, and then seeing Claude Code itself being released in terms of the leak. Here's some cool things that you can do. So document review. Let's just go through that one. So that'll just load in a second. Here we go. So I can throw in here various sorts of like documents. Let's go in here. This is, I should have prepped it earlier, but I'll go to my prepped projects here, but imagine that instead of just like one agent doing things at a time, you can have multiple agents, talking about something. So here is a made up kind of document. I'm just going to minimize there so I can actually see. So I wanted to do a contract review. This is a shareholder agreement. Here's my different agents. They all do different things. I'm only going to turn on a few at a time. They're going to go through this and do their review. I can choose the level that I'm on. I can choose the different models that I want to have here. I'm just going to go with Haiku for fast and just do quick cancel, just so it's these two doing the work. And then when I hit this, it's actually going to go into a state where basically it will start doing this planning kind of mode. So here we have a live feed of the agents actually doing work, discussing their findings, going back and forth with each other. They'll get into a debate later on, which we don't see right now. And I can go back and see previous versions of this kind of stuff. So if I open this up in a new tab, I can go here to a history and I'll show you what the output sort of looks like. So here's like, here I want to sell crypto to SMSFs. Self-managed super funds. What is, the law? What are some arguments there? Now, I mentioned agents. I mentioned, the fact that you can build these tools. Another thing is data. And there is this really cool project out there called Legal Data Hunter. And as you can see here, these guys have been indexing about 20 million different, or in this case, 14 million, I thought it was more than that, 14 million court cases around the world, thousands, tens of thousands in Australia. So without that data, it would be a very limited kind of tool if you're always having to throw in the information to get these court case information and insights. These are court cases from actual, these are details from actual court cases online that you can see here that the thing has reasoned with. Here's some stats about it. I can chat with this further, so I can go back to my previous insights and have it talk in legalese to the lawyers about all of this kind of stuff. So, that first agent there, it's still going. It's doing its debate rounds, or not quite yet. It's still doing some search. You can see here that they're going back and forth and basically assessing each other. They have a deadlock definition without a resolution mechanism here. So there's a recommended action. If the other agents think that they want to challenge that, they can, and you see that actually come up when you look at the results. And better yet, I can see here the calls, the tokens, the time that it took to do this. One of the runs, and you know this, Chris, like these things, when we just use ChatGPT, you've got to go back and forth. This was something that it went at it for like 20 minutes, cost about $2, but produced insights, if correct, and the evaluation process is the key here, would have been maybe 2 to 3 days worth of work if it is all correct. Now, this is not saying that there aren't going to be work that lawyers still need to do. We still need to validate all of this. This is like a good, really good first draft at things. So whilst it's doing that and nothing in the debates, we'll come back to it, but I'll just show you some of the other things just quickly that I can do with tools like this. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay.
You're entering the matrix.
I am entering the matrix. The matrix is another feature where I might have some documents in here and I want to ask every single one of those documents the same kind of question. So question might be, is there a list of dates in these documents? I can add that. And then another question might be, are there, and the lights have gone off in the room.
You're right. You're right. It still looks good.
Okay, there we go. Jesus. Are there legal facts that you can ascertain from these documents? And I'm not asking this, with good spelling, but the point is that I can run these calls and you'll see here, it'll actually answer each of these questions based on the model that I've got, which is Sonnet, just normal Sonnet. I could use Haiku.
There you go.
I've got agentic mode where it basically goes back and forth with itself. It does a first pass, then a second pass, and you can click and see here, and it finds the evidence. So that's another thing. If we go back to this, they will be basically doing some further work. There's some other findings that they've got. They haven't gone into the debate yet, but you basically can go back and forth with all of this, and it'll produce some results at the end, like the precedent one, the previous one that I showed you before. We'll go back to, well, just let that run in the background, but some other cool things that we've got here. You've got certain things that you need to do when it comes to cases about chronologies. And so here is something where I can, pick a case, that one that is there. I can choose different types of models that will basically go through and start pulling out all of the different facts and timeframes and timelines, and it will start putting it into an ordered list. But because you've got that ordered list, that's the first step, and it'll do this work here. But the first step is just that. The next step is to actually do something with that. So here's one I prepared earlier where you can do things like these causal chains. And what that is there's different chains of themed events throughout all of this. So one of those is this fake person, about them being hired, and the steps based on the facts that it was able to pull out. Another thing is you can do these things like counterfactuals. So counterfactuals are things where you might have these items that wouldn't have happened if not for or but for a certain event happening before. So these sorts of things that lawyers look for, we can get the AI to do this. We can see these things like fork points and see the details about it. Facts that would not have occurred had a certain event not happened. The fact that we can pull out the facts, pun intended, from these chronologies, allows us to take a step further and do these sorts of things and summaries and a whole lot more. But in any case, I just wanted to show you that. What it's going to do here with this deep one is it's going to validate the facts. So it's not just pulling out the facts, but you've got other agents validating things, checking each other, debating each other, and just really amazing stuff like that. The final thing I'll show you, just to showcase a debate, is if I look at the history here and I pull up one of the runs that I did that literally took 20 minutes or so. I should be able to find it here. It's one of these recent ones. But in any case, yep, this one here, this shareholders, again, it's a fake shareholders one that we looked at. So to just pull it up from the database. I am running this all on localhost, but I will be deploying this internally soon. But if I look at some of the facts, this one's okay. This one was challenged. So here, the jurisdiction council, one of them, said this, recommended this. Contract reviewer said, nope, I want to challenge that. I want to narrow the scope. Jurisdiction council responded, and their overall response is there. Adversarial counsel amplified that. Jurisdiction responded again. A technology advisor narrows it again. So it went back and forth, and then there's an overall orchestrator that goes, okay, that's enough, guys. Here's what the findings are. And you can set all of that up yourself. So agents, data, and then the tools that they get to be able to do this stuff is all part of what I'm building internally for Legal Claw. And this is even before I make it available on, to be able to talk to via the WhatsApp, the Slack, if we choose to go down that path, but all inspired by OpenClaw and other agentic stuff out there. What do you think?
I think that's really, really cool. I mean, a good example of solving, particularly in a very, very, obviously, they've got a lot of risk associated with decisions and insight. And there's got to be a lot of caution around how things are utilized and how things are managed. And having that triage of checks and cross checks and back and forth is just helps build a bit of confidence around what the outcome is, especially if it's cross checking itself a lot.
And you know what? It's case studies back it up. Case studies about how to use AI in the legal space talk about you don't just do the one pass, but you get the other AIs, and you don't even just always use AI. You do things like natural language processing to get out information first, and then so inserting the AI where it's actually useful.
Exactly. So, and you're using Claude for the entire process with obviously Claude API. And and you're
It's a
able to
mix.
shift those models depending on what it's doing, or are you mixing any types of models in that process?
So when I say a mix, I mean a mix of non-models, as in not large language models, but actually just normal like AI to help do the coding, but some of it is just normal text extraction. Some of it is just normal
Yes.
entity recognition type stuff, which is
Yep.
not large language models, but bringing in the
100%.
large language models where they play a good role and not just bringing them in once. And also not making sure that I use Claude to actually explain the process. Is this doing something monolithic, like one big call with 46 facts being shared with the AI? No, we actually break it up. So, I use the AI because initially it'll just do everything thrown into the AI in one big call. I break it up to get better visibility over the steps and where things fail, and then better results because I can do those tweaks.
Yeah, that's amazing. I mean, have you been able to sit down and test it with people in the business yet to validate a lot of that stuff that you've got going through? Because that's the big thing around this,
Yeah,
is like building these tools,
yeah, yeah,
making
yeah.
sure that there is a use for it for the
Exactly.
individuals. I mean, it sounds like you have, because I know you're not a lawyer, and that like a lot of those processes are quite
I
complex. I
feel
was
like
like,
a
oh, that's
quasi
interesting, Anita.
lawyer though, like
Yeah.
I feel like I'm in suits doing this, but yes, that is the case. That's happening. We built some other tools for the guys to use internally. We've been doing some other solutions to help automate processes. So that's part of the tooling set. So they're
Yeah.
happy with those, and we're evolving those. This is literally, it's only been something that I worked on, well, since the Claude Code leak, because looking at that, it's inspiration to go,
The
hang on a
Claude Code
second,
leak.
yeah, I know, we can do this kind of stuff. But and then seeing some others online doing some cool things in the legal space. Like I said, there's a group called Legal Quants, and you see all the things being done, and they're cool. And given my knowledge, I'm like, I need to build a harness around this. How do we, bring all these things together? I think there's some amazing things that we can be doing over here at Madison Marcus. But
Yeah,
Chris,
very
I've got to
nice.
get going. We've got to wrap up and
Yeah, it
stuff
was great.
now. But
Good chat, good showcase.
so much
We'll
more
have
to
this
come.
episode. This will be out next week. Really hope you enjoy what we've got to showcase. We'll have a few extra episodes, like walking actually through in more detail on how we built those things. But until then, stay toasty.
Stay toasty, folks. See you there.